We are back, season 3. It's time to get back to hockey. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to season 3 of the Pucked Up Podcast. Oh, it feels so good to be back. I am joined by two of my favorite people on the planet, Dee and Danger.
I'm back.
That's us.
I know.
Me.
Do not mind the crossed off background. It is our temporary one because I'm an idiot and deleted all of our fucking files by accident.
All good.
So we should
Whoopsies.
have one. We should have one next week. That's permanent.
Yeah.
But ignore whatever the fuck's
The
happening.
giant X, yeah.
The giant X. Yeah, it's
Ignore the man
like
behind the
a
curtain.
construction zone. Yeah, it's a construction zone.
Yeah.
It's
Danger.
Yeah.
Danger, it's so fucking good to have you back.
Yes.
Thank you.
It is.
It's good to be back. It was a hell of a few months for me there, the end of last season. Some of you may know, but my nephew was born and then passed away 3 days later, so that was really hard. And then about, I don't know, a month after that, my grandma got put on hospice, and unfortunately we lost her in July. So, well, you know, the Wild definitely have an angel on their side now. It's been really hard, but it's good to be back. I'm looking forward to the season. Yeah, that's all I could say was, you know,
well, we
big
loved
fuck you to the beginning of 2024, but
yeah, we loved your grandma. She was so much
Absolutely.
fun. We definitely got to know her over the last couple of years doing this pod with you, and so she's forever a part of the pod. And with that, we will be honoring her throughout the year. So
absolutely,
she's very special.
With this
I very
beautiful.
much appreciate it. She was a cool lady.
And even the Wild recognized it too. I know that you didn't mention it, but they did send hella flowers to her funeral.
They did. They sent us 5 plants in one beautiful arrangement. Her ticket rep, and then like the VP and somebody else from the team came to the visitation. Which was wonderful. So yeah, it was really nice to have them come out, and you know, obviously, like over the years, we had gotten to know them, especially her latest ticket rep, Nick.
Right.
And so to have him out there was really special and really cool. It was nice to hear, you know, how much she touched their lives and how much they enjoyed talking to her. And I mean, you guys said it too off air, was, you know, she was somebody that fucking knew the sport of hockey, and
she got it. Like
she got it.
A lot of fans talk shit, but Grandma understood the sport better than most people, and I played my whole life. So
right. Yeah, she's somebody that in another life maybe was a hockey coach or a player or somebody, but she certainly thought she was still was a coach.
Oh, and she wasn't afraid to give her opinion on stuff too. If she had a hot take, you were going to know about it, and I respect that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And she stood by what she'd say too. You know, for better or worse, sometimes. You know, all of us have grandparents out there that maybe could be a little more politically correct on some things, but you know, she definitely would stand by what she said. She was an opinionated woman. She was a strong woman. Definitely somebody that I looked up to my entire life, and I'm thankful that I got to spend the last 6 years living with her and my grandpa while he was still here. And they were two very special people to me. So it's hard to still wrap my head around the fact that she's gone. You know.
Yeah.
But thankfully she
is that she gets to spend the entire season with us. As you guys see the beautiful patch on screen that Danger put together, that's going to be there all season. And Grandma lives on in past episodes, which is cool.
And for any new listeners this season who are curious, go back and watch, you know, the few episodes in the last couple years. that she got to, occasionally she'd come and actually sit down and be a proper part of it. Sometimes she would stand in my doorway and give her opinions from there.
She might be the most frequent guest we've ever had.
Right?
I don't think we've ever had anyone on the podcast more than Grandma.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she
was technically.
Yeah, I think she was.
She was before Matt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, so she definitely gets to live on, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, we're gonna do Grandma proud this season.
Yes.
I hope the Wild do her proud this season. That's
we all can hope that the Wild do her proud.
She never got to, in life see them make it past the second round of playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if not a season, when the upcoming, next year is the 25-year anniversary. Is that right? Yeah. It came about in 2000. Or was it 2004? Anyway, one of the two. I now can't remember. It was when I was in high school. That's what I remember. So a long ass time ago. But yeah, so it'll be next year. Yeah. It'll be 25 years. I remember that now. Cause she was not looking forward to she hated when they do the throwback jerseys in the North Star colors. She was a big North Star fan too. But hated the retros.
Yeah.
She's like, the Wild are not the North Stars. They shouldn't use their color. Blah blah blah. It was a hot take. She was very opinionated on the subject. I happen to love the Kelly green and gold, but those were also my high school colors.
Yeah,
very convenient.
I get it. Either commit to the North Star throwback, or don't, because the Wild have so many badass jerseys from their own history.
Oh yeah. We've had, we were one of the first teams, I think, to have a consistent third jersey.
It was that red one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That red one was fire.
I actually have her Koivu jersey was that red one. Here, I have it right here. Hold on.
I'm going to make a prediction while you're doing that. I think that for their 25th, oh, that's sick.
That jersey's so sick.
Yeah. I think for their 25th, they're not going to honor the Dallas Stars, and they're going to do a retro of their inaugural jersey. As the Wild, which is how it should be. So
right. But their initial jerseys were just the man bear pig that it is still today.
Yeah.
Our logo hasn't changed much.
Yeah.
I would like them to do something with the circle again.
Yes. Yeah.
Something similar.
Yeah, honestly, just bring that back.
I think they will.
Just bring that directly back.
Even with the red, I loved the red jerseys. But I'm also a messy person and I like to drink at hockey games, so wearing white jerseys does not always mesh well with
bad idea. Does not make for a very Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
The first one I ever bought was with my own money was a Pierre-Marc Bouchard jersey. Shout out to my first husband. I wish I always just called him my husband, but it was the green. But I think that's the only green one I've bought as of yet. That's my own. But Grandma had so many jerseys. Thankfully, any of my cousins that wanted one got one, and I got several between Matt and I should say.
You guys got the rest.
Yeah, almost.
Fuck, I need to buy a new jersey too. I have to buy all new shit, you guys.
You're telling me
Anaheim changed their fucking logo.
I know.
And we're on our 50th season here in Capsland.
Wow.
So we have a bunch of jerseys, and they brought back the Skrigal this year. There's a bunch of fucking
hyped for that.
Oh, so am I.
I'm so hyped because that era of the fucking Capitals, that is my favorite uniform. The blue, the gold, the black. Those uniforms are fucking perfect.
Yeah. Although I am
to just commit to the throwback.
I am also partial to the Capitals with the 3 stars on the hockey stick. Because I do think that's very much of an era. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That gives me nostalgia big time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and it's it's like me being partial to the North Star jerseys and stuff like that, because that was when I fell in love with hockey. So
I know, as I'm wearing the Ducks 25th anniversary jersey right now.
Yeah.
Which Matt was so excited that they brought back the old school logo.
Oh, dude, I know.
And I'm tempted to buy some Duck shit. They didn't bring the colors back. I love the fact that they kept the colors.
Yeah.
The black and the
orange.
Well,
it's a good way to marry the two.
Look badass.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
Looks
I hope they don't fucking suck.
Yeah, fair.
Well, let's put it this way. They can't have a worse season.
Untrue, they can.
They could have a worse season.
It's
unlikely that they'll have a worse season than last year.
They could, but I don't know how you get worse than finishing at the bottom like 2 years in a row and still not even getting the fucking first overall pick.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Let's not go off on that.
We
lost
out on Macklin, Celebrini, and Connor Bedard. What the fuck happened?
Bettman has already banned us from any of his personal listening devices, so it's fine. We can talk all the shit we want.
Let's hope.
I'm waiting to get a phone call from fucking the NHL being like, hey, can you guys
Gary
Bettman on Bettman?
He's going to call us personally and be like, listen.
Yeah.
I know that you guys are just trying to make some money, but could you please just be nice to me? You make me cry far too often.
Right.
Just
Gary, know if we ever singing Bettman's praises, it's AI generated.
Oh,
not
no.
Or they're paying us
they paid us a fuckload of money.
Paying us.
Yeah.
They're paying us a lot of money to be real nice to Gary.
I will 100% state it right now. Barry Bettman, you can buy me. Oh, no, please cut that out.
I have a price.
That sounds so much worse than I intended it to sound.
Oh, hey, you know what, though?
Welcome back to the podcast, you guys.
We're already drinking. Let's go.
Yeah, fucking, we're doing it.
Mm-hmm. I have box wine because I'm a classy broad.
There you go.
Ladies, I am officially 1 year sober.
Congratulations. I knew we were coming up to it this month, but I'm
high
not sure
as
when.
fuck right now, but
hey. That's like Cali sober.
Well, sober, not clean.
Sober, I'm Cali sober. Yeah, I'm still smoking weed. I'm not drinking anymore.
Hey,
yeah,
we all have our vices.
So on that blockbuster, let's get this motherfucker started.
Yes.
D, start us off with some PWHL news.
Well,
hell yeah.
Boy, do we ever have PWHL news for you.
And
it's only about a month too late.
Yeah. We have news and opinions.
Oh my god, yeah. Y'all buckle in for these hot takes because I got them.
Yeah, I think we all got them at this point.
So, in September, the PWHL announced their official inaugural 6 names and team logos. We're going to go through them a little bit right now. If you want to see the logos, I mean, maybe we'll briefly describe them when we give our hot takes. But it's all over the PWHL website. It's all over their Instagram. Y'all can find it. I know you know how to use Google. You found us after all. Okay?
Our descriptions are just going to be, that's this fucking shit!
So starting off, we have the Boston Fleet. Fleet pays homage to Boston's collective spirit and rich maritime history, representing the city's unified strength and resilience. The logo combines the iconic letter B in the team's primary deep green color with an anchor, symbolizing Boston's identity and nautical heritage. The forward-leaning shape communicates momentum, reflecting the city's sporting legacy and the team's advancement on the ice. Let's hold our opinions to the end, and then we can just rip them to shreds. Next up, we have the Minnesota Frost. Frost embodies the state of hockey's deep-rooted love for the ice and the sport that has become a timeless tradition, bridging generations. The logo features a stylized letter F in the team's core purple, with angular edges and sharp points, reminiscent of icicles, while the overall design conveys a sense of competition, intensity, and fierceness. Next up, we have the Montreal Victoire, which is the French way of saying Montreal Victory. They are going to use a French name, as many Canadian teams, I should say, do. So you will probably hear them when watching on TSN and stuff like that be pronounced Victoire, because that's how it's pronounced en français. Victoire embodies Montreal's joyously competitive spirit, acting as inspiration for the city to climb to even greater sporting heights. Win or lose, Victoire is a mindset, celebrating the city's pursuit of achievement. The logo features wing-like shapes in the team's signature deep burgundy color, subtly alluding to the goddess of victory and symbolizing strength and agility. A hidden M within the wings pays homage to Greater Montreal. Additionally, a fleur-de-lis, a national symbol of Quebec, is gracefully integrated and evokes a rich cultural history of the province and the city. The New York Sirens. Sirens is an ode to New York City's one-of-a-kind energy, pace and rhythm, embodying the city's sounds and people. Siren also speaks to the sweet sound of the goal horn after a puck goes into the net. The logo, dominated by the team's vibrant teal, reflects the intensity of New York and evokes the gritty cityscape. The reverberating S visually mimics sound waves, and the angular design of the NY pays homage to New York's iconic architecture. The Ottawa Charge. Charge pays tribute to Ottawa itself, from the city's motto, Advance, Ottawa, en avant. Again, parlez-vous français? Nodding to its constant state of dynamic growth and forward progress as Canada's capital city. The logo, leading with the team's core color red, features a monogram O design to convey a sense of energy and movement, signifying the team's electrifying presence on the ice. The O is crafted to resemble a spinning object brimming with electric current, representing the power that the fans bring to every game. Spikes radiating from the back of the O emphasize forward momentum and the spirit of the city. A faceted cut in front of the O introduces a slight nod to the letter C, linking the design back to the team's name, Charge. The Toronto Scepters. The Scepters embody Toronto's regal history and commanding presence. Reflected in the moniker Queen City and iconic places like Queen Street, one of the city's most culturally vibrant thoroughfares, connecting diverse neighborhoods and showcasing Toronto's rich heritage. The ornamented scepter itself is a symbol of power and strength and found in courts and palaces. Today it will be wielded on the ice by Toronto's hockey royalty. The color palette centers around a rich royal blue. The emblem combines the initials T and S to represent Toronto Scepters, with the addition of a scepter motif to evoke power, reflecting the team's identity and spirit. The beveled edges add a sense of depth and solidity, enhancing the real quality and imbuing it with a tangible, prestigious feel, evoking the team's name and image. So those are our inaugural 6 teams as they are finally named and are no longer Montreal, Boston, blah, blah, blah.
PWHL, New York.
Yeah. So I guess with that, let's open it up to thoughts on names and logos, y'all. How we feeling?
So, at first I hated all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm like, the names aren't awful. The problem is, half of them I don't feel like hockey names.
Mm-hmm.
No. They feel like high school names, in my opinion.
Minnesota Frost is kind of cool. That one I don't hate. They could have done better
the logo.
For sure.
Yeah.
The logo sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The hard part for me is none of them, but some of them, especially Toronto, Montreal, they're hard to cheer for. In my opinion.
Oh, Scepters.
Right. Let's go Scepters. Like, that would work.
Yeah.
And that's my default because that's kind of where we go with
right.
Minnesota, you know. But I don't know. I'm still not a huge fan of them.
Yeah, I will say I came out of the gate mad. When I saw
I think we all were.
Yeah. When I saw the logos announced especially. I'm just gonna run down the list. Boston's to look like an anchor. It's fucking weak. It's not that cool. It's cool as a logo design for something else, but when it's partnered with Fleet tells me nothing about women's hockey. There's no story told to me through that. That makes me like really excited to join the game. And additionally, there's no mascot that is unique that comes to mind when I think of the Boston Fleet that is going to draw people in the same way Gritty does, the same way that the Kraken's mascot Sea Buoy does. So you don't have that. The Frost, again, I don't think it's a bad name, but it's a disappointing logo. I think anytime that you go with just the letter of your organization as your main logo, you have failed your audience base because that's not dope. And we want dope shit. This is women's hockey. This is not like under 6's soccer team. We can do better than this. I think
and look at all the other logos for Minnesota-based teams
are dope as shit.
Are all badass.
They're fucking sick.
All of them are badass.
Yeah.
Like it feels like
they all have that fierceness, like we were talking about,
right.
the wild logo being a man bear pig.
Oh yeah. Do you remember the first or the first reverse retro where the Red Wings had just a white jersey?
Yeah.
They didn't even try. That's what this feels like.
What that feels
they
like.
Didn't even fucking try.
Yeah.
It feels like they took forever. I do like Montreal's logo.
Montreal's logo is
cool.
Dope. And I don't mind Victoire.
And I love the French
Victory
heritage.
Is fine.
Right.
And I can get behind Victory for a women's hockey team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get behind that way more. I think they were successful. I think New York fucking failed big time. What the fuck does the Sirens have to do with anything? That's the worst thing about your goddamn city, is that it's a constant fucking noise. It's not productive. It's not entertaining. Yes. Pick something better, and pick something again that relates it back to women's hockey.
The nautical, like a siren at sea.
Yes,
right?
And they didn't go that route. They went with this dumb fucking.
But they could have.
Like, you just have your name, and then you have New York in the background that's supposed to look like skyscrapers. That's fucking lame.
I don't.
Do you know what it looks like?
I'm not as mad at
Liberty's logo.
Like their logo to the New York TS, but
no, with New York, again, you guys had it perfect. If they went that mermaid-esque style, that would have been fucking awesome.
Yeah.
As someone who, and I have thoughts about Boston, as a fucking New Englander, I have thoughts about Boston.
Yeah.
And as someone who lives 2 hours from New York and is frequent in New York, that is the worst part of the fucking city. I love New York City. I do. But fuck, bro.
Yeah.
It's so loud.
I do like New York's color. They have that kind of aqua.
The colors are dope.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
I will say the Toronto Scepters, I think the name is cool. Again, tying it into royalty, I think because of the history of that area, I think is fine. The problem is that their logo ends up looking like it's for a high school team. It is not nearly professional enough for me to be like,
same with Ottawa, in my opinion.
Oh my God. And Ottawa is just trying to be the Calgary Flames. Like, Jesus Christ, did you steal their shit or what?
Yeah.
Also, the Charge is a lame fucking name. Again, how does that relate back to women's hockey? How does that make me feel anything? And again, none of these teams really, when I think of them, except for maybe with the exception of the Scepters and maybe Victory, can I instantly imagine what their mascot is going to look like.
Right.
Well, and the Victory logo is cool, but it looks like it would be for a minor league baseball team.
I was thinking more like a
soccer
team, honestly.
I could see it as a soccer team too, but it doesn't scream hockey. And
none of them do.
As a New Englander, the fact that this is what they chose out of literally everything.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just name the team the Boston Tea Parties? What the fuck are we doing?
Honestly, I would have preferred it.
Yeah.
I honestly say
everybody would call them the Teabaggers or something.
Yeah.
As much as I'm not a fan of Boston sports, you have such iconic names.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics, the Red Sox, the Bruins.
Yeah.
The Patriots are a Massachusetts team, but those are such recognizable brands. Not only in the fact that the Bruins and the Celtics and the Red Sox have been around forever, but it's those are such recognizable names. If I didn't know women's hockey at all, and I was just walking down the street and someone said, "Hey, you gonna watch the Fleet game?" I'd have been like, "The fucking who?"
Yeah,
I'm not gonna be interested.
I feel like they're just competing with UPS or FedEx or that's what I think of when I think of Fleet.
And the logo to me, you flip the logo and have it facing upwards. What team does that look like?
The fucking Whalers.
Whalers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just thievery.
As a Connecticut native,
it's not creative.
Yeah, that's cool, but it's not creative at all. No. They could have done so much better. The Charge sucks.
And what sucks the most for me is that we're on here hating on these names. Because we are people who have been such big advocates of the PWHL since we heard that they were even going to be forming. We've made it such a point to incorporate it into our shows because we believe in women's sports and we believe that these players can be just as prominent as any male hockey player has ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I feel like people in higher up places have let the team down because they went with whatever the fuck this is. Like, it's just so banal. It's so boring. It's so not what you would want to see from an inaugural 6. And like, that's even, I mean, Boston, obviously they have their B, and I think that that's kind of boring as far as a logo goes, the Bruins. But they have introduced other logos that, you know, at least zest it up every once in a while. But the other original 6 have cooler logos. Like, it's just a thing. You have to put so much fucking effort and energy into it. And I think that they maybe did themselves a disservice by jumping too soon. Maybe they should have waited another season to make sure that they could properly, like, do a fucking focus group, y'all. Y'all know what that is. Like, I know you know how to run one. So you should have done that, because there are a couple of people who are like, oh, the names, they're fine. They're okay. I really like, you know, this part. And they're just dancing around it because they don't want to criticize women's sports, because that's the last thing that women's sports need, is to have people be overly critical. But then they put out weak-ass product, and you're like, well, I have to criticize that, because I can't just give you a pass because I obviously am a fan of your whole agenda. Like, no, this doesn't stand up to the standards that we should hold them to. And that sucks.
That they should hold themselves to.
Yeah.
Because, like, again, we are going to continue to champion this league because we all believe in this league, and these women deserve the right to have as much success as the men do.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep talking about it. But Dee is right. We are all disappointed in the fact that they could have done so much fucking better.
Yeah.
That actually is kind of a badass.
Like, I
don't slightly better, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's very retro.
Yeah.
Very 90s.
Right. 100% 90s feel. Starter, like, I feel like that could be the back of a starter jacket, right? Like,
yes.
But otherwise, I hate. I love the purple. Like, I mean, with, you know, you're tying in the Vikings purple, the royal purple, right? Like, there's just, I don't hate the purple being brought in. It is a different purple than what was in our original jerseys.
Yeah, it's a lighter purple.
WHL.
It's more of a lavender.
Well, it's a darker, like, more royal purple, because I feel like we had more of, like, the gopher maroony purple.
Yeah.
Last season for the women's team, but I don't like the frost. Like, that's one of the worst parts about living in Minnesota is the frosty, icy
the weather.
Like, wetness, the wetness of winter here. And we could have done so many better things.
Yeah. And that's not to say, my team's name is also somewhat lame. It's the Capitals because it's the capital city. Like, we could have come up with something better.
But it does make
having
sense. The eagle as your logo. Like, all of those things make sense.
Yeah.
But
it's still, I mean, and that's the thing is, like, I'm not afraid to own up when other shit is bad too. I can't change the Capitals logo now, but, like, maybe if they had consulted somebody, they could have changed this before it became the fucking Boston Fleet or the New York Sirens or the Ottawa Charge. Like, I think,
like,
going
the
forward,
Charge in particular,
that one's the worst.
Just feels so high school.
Yeah,
it feels so high school.
That feels like it would be a box lacrosse team.
Yeah. Which, again,
like,
there's areas where these names work. They're not all and out bad. It's just they're not great for women's hockey.
No.
They're not great for hockey in general.
That too.
No.
Not even just women's hockey. And again,
I mean, the frost kind of makes sense for hockey, right? Like, I get that.
the
frost is fine. That's the only name on here.
Can we not have something related to winter?
To weather?
Like, fucking, it snows a lot up here. Like, shocker. Let's talk about the things that people don't recognize about Minnesota that makes it a great state to live in, right?
So anyway, let us know what your thoughts are on these names, on these logos. Drop them in the comments. We would love to hear, especially if you disagree with us. If you have a reason why the Boston Fleet is the best name to have ever existed, or why the New York Sirens logo isn't in fact ass, please let me know. We would love to hear that.
Because maybe it's stuff that we haven't thought of.
Yeah.
And I love being proved wrong. I think I've said that before in this podcast. Let me rephrase that. I don't love it, but I take in the opportunities to be proved wrong, and I will own up to it if you have a good reason for it. I just might also tell you that you're full of shit.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
You feel like a big boy with your big boy lies.
The other thing I did want to mention about the PWHL, there's a few things. There was, I think we may have announced it, but the coach of New York, Howie Draper, announced that he would not return. He would remain on the team as a special advisor through the season. And then also, Greg Fargo was named his replacement. So those are a few things. Okay. And then next, we have an update on their schedule for this year. So the preseason schedule was announced on October 1st. It will be held in 2 camps in Toronto and Montreal, and will begin on November 19th and conclude on November 22nd. Each camp will host 3 teams. The Montreal camp will be held at Verdun Auditorium and feature the Montreal Victoire, the Boston Fleet, the Ottawa Charge. Meanwhile, the Toronto camp will be held at the Ford Performance Center and will showcase Toronto Scepters, Minnesota Frost, and the New York Sirens. And then I believe it is a 20-game season? I didn't put it in my notes. Now I'm going to go look for it.
32, I believe.
No, that sounds better. Wow. I really don't know where I put it.
But yeah, we talked about it being 32, but I wasn't. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I didn't remember if that was what they were talking about.
Oh, it's it's actually in the show notes.
I was going to say, it's in the show sheet.
It's literally in the show sheet. 32? And I put it there so that I remember to look at it. And then I was like, oh, I probably didn't put it in the show sheet that I fucking wrote.
And you make the show sheet.
I make the show sheet every week. And I was like, I definitely didn't do that. And then I absolutely did. It's a 32-game season, y'all, which is an improvement from last year. I don't know where that puts us in terms of the final game because the game schedules have not yet been announced. We expect to see that in the coming weeks. So as soon as we get a finalized game schedule, we'll let y'all know.
Yeah.
Continue to talk about it, week to week.
Yeah.
And I am excited for the season.
Oh,
I know in the few Wild games that I went to, a lot of the season ticket that I went to at the end of the season after Grandma got sick, a lot of the season ticket holders that were sitting around me were talking about, getting season tickets for the Frost and being really excited to support the women's team. So, we'll continue to do that here too. It definitely was a disappointing kind of start to the year, I feel like.
Oh, you got to say their name properly. The Walter Cup champion, Minnesota.
That is true.
You got to put some respect.
We did have an amazing season last year.
Although we'll maybe save this for another episode, but there was some drama coming out of your team, unfortunately, in the off season.
Yes.
There was hella drama.
It was not me.
We'll save that for another episode because we got a lot to get through tonight. But yeah,
there's a lot.
Don't worry, if you were hoping that we would talk on it, we will be talking on it later.
Yes.
When
y'all can educate me on it because
it's a lot.
No attention. Yeah.
It's a lot.
At the end of last year.
Yeah.
So
rightly so.
To wrap up the sad news through the off season, we were all just as blindsided as the league with the tragic passing of Johnny and Mac Goudreau. I don't know how to say words with stuff like this because they were both so young and they were taken so suddenly
and senselessly as well.
Yeah
the situation surrounding it,
their families,
they were in town for their sister's wedding. They were there to watch their younger sister marry marry the love of her life, and they went out at night just to ride bikes through the town. And unfortunately, a drunk driver who was just slightly over the legal limit made some bad decisions, and he is still in the court process, so we haven't heard much about his perspective of that night, but it's very clear he either did not see them or lost control of his vehicle, ended up striking them both. And despite the fact that they were so young and were such phenomenal talents in the sports arena, a body cannot sustain that kind of a collision. Cars are fucking big, and human bodies are not. And so that level of tragedy, when you add in the factors surrounding it, them being home to celebrate a wedding, all of that, it is an unspeakable amount of tragedy. I do think, though, that what has been the most beautiful about it is the way that, much like last season when we saw the player unfortunately die on ice from ice or a blade cutting his throat, the community really rallied. And in multiple places, we saw people putting up shrines to the Gaudreau brothers that stayed out for days and days and days and were untouched.
A lot of them are still out.
Yeah.
A lot of them are still out.
And then on top of that, we saw multiple teams in the preseason doing moments of silence to honor them. And it was really, I watched everyone. They were all beautiful. They were all touching. And I know that the Blue Jackets are going to wear Johnny's number on their uniforms or on their helmets, I think it is, for the whole season.
The whole league, I believe, is going to do something, a helmet decal.
Yeah.
The decal you see in the middle of your screen, that is the patch that will be on the jerseys of the Columbus Blue Jackets throughout the season. I thought it'd be a really cool thing to have that for today.
Yeah.
There are GoFundMes for the families of Johnny and Matthew. If anyone wants to donate, there are ways to do that. I think it's more heartbreaking knowing Johnny had two kids that were really young, and Matthew's wife is pregnant with their first child. It's funny because right as that happened, I was just talking about Johnny to a Blue Jackets fan. It's very sad because
Philly that had their dad out for training.
Yeah, I believe it was the Flyers. Yeah. I think it was the Flyers. But it's like not even us knowing the type of people that they were, because we all have seen throughout his career how amazing of a human being Johnny Gaudreau is, but to know that we're not going to be able to see his just magnificent work on the ice anymore kind of breaks my heart as a hockey fan. But they will be both remembered very fondly. I know we've all had very fond, kind things to say about Johnny over his career, so we're gonna have them in our minds this season for sure.
Discord too, that first of all, the first thing my 15, almost 16-year-old, because he'll be 16 in a month. He likes to remind me of that, but because we have Freddie Gaudreau, who is not related to Johnny and Matt, but my Matt, the first thing he said, he texted me, he's like, "Did you hear about this?" And I was like, "Yeah, But the fact that it impacted this younger generation, I mean, and Matt, of course, had known the name, but didn't necessarily get a lot of time to see what they were like on the ice. And I think they both seemed to be all around good dudes. I mean, there wasn't much controversy surrounding them. Johnny, I think, had been around a little longer than Matthew, but but just seeing the impact that their lives and then their death had on, this younger generation, I think it's kind of a good thing. Well, not kind of, but it is a good thing. And I think it's one more way of maybe my son will take that and, after a party or after he's hopefully of legal age, maybe he'll remember that and think twice about, drinking and driving. And just to try to remember. I mean, when Adam was killed on ice, that's such a freak thing to happen. I mean, of course it was devastating as well, but that's not a common thing. And unfortunately, it's far too common for people to, have a couple drinks and then drive home. And like we said, this gentleman was barely over the legal limit.
Yep.
And it's just so devastating. You know, I can't imagine having to live with that too. You know,
Yeah.
You make a bad decision and you take 2 people out, and
this touched the whole sports world too. Because I mean, you had people like LeBron posting stuff. The WWE were in Calgary, and like a month ago, did a whole piece on Johnny, and actually had like when wrestlers die, they have a graphic that they put up, and it's kind of like a moment of silence thing. They did one for Johnny and Matt. So like the fact that their personalities and who they were transcended the sport in itself and touched everyone, that speaks volumes about them as individuals.
Yeah.
So they will be in our thoughts throughout the season for sure. And we all at LTN Media send our love and everything to the Goudreau family, because that
and as a parent too, I just can't imagine. Losing 2 of your children in one go, like.
And unfortunately, they weren't the only NHLers we lost this fall to a car accident of all things. Stephen Pete, who was a Washington Capitals player, former NHL enforcer, passed away at 44 years old after being hit by a car as well.
Yeah, I know. I saw that, and that was sad too.
Yeah, he was just crossing the road in the middle of the afternoon at the end of August, and that driver, I don't believe, was drunk or anything. It was just one of those things. Didn't see him, and another person gone relatively too soon. Like I said, he was he was also a Ducks player too. So I know
he was. Yeah, he was.
Yep. They signed him in 1998. We were but wee babes.
We were.
Yeah.
Well, you 2 were.
Oh, not even through our first decade.
So sending our condolences to the Pete family as well. Always tough when those kinds of things, those freak accidents happen.
Okay, so switching gears to more positive things that happened in the off season.
Maybe positive.
There were some fucking huge moves.
Yeah. One thing we saw was Florida Panthers have Sam Reinhart for an 8-year, $8.6 million annual salary. That is so much money. Dear God.
And he earned it.
He did.
I mean,
he did. But it just hurts me to think of amount of money that I will never see in my life.
I know.
Right?
I know.
And the fact that there's all of these kids making that much fucking money.
Kids, yeah.
The New Jersey Devils traded Kevin Ball in a draft pick for Swedish goalie Jacob Markstrom from the Calgary Flames. Matthias Janmark signed a new contract with the Edmonton Oilers at 3 years, $1.45 million annual. Matt Duchene stayed in Dallas, and the Colorado Avalanche gave a new deal to Jonathan Drouin. Boston Bruins, which we're going to talk about this, I think, on our TikTok exclusive. So if you're not following us on TikTok, oh no, we're actually talking about it in the show. Again, I wrote this.
You did write it like
about
it.
Do follow us on TikTok, because we are going to have some special stuff throughout the week.
We will.
There is stuff there. I didn't lie about it, just about what particular things we're going to talk about. Anyway, we're going to cover it a little bit in further detail, but it started with the Boston Bruins separating their goalies. Linus Ullmark was traded to the Ottawa Senators, and they have kept Jeremy Swayman. However, Chris will have an update in a little bit. Cody Klass was switched from Nashville to Pittsburgh. Riley Smith went to the New York Rangers. Tomas Tatar is back with the New Jersey Devils. Ryan McDonough is back with the Bolts. Martin Necas signed a new contract with the Carolina Hurricanes. And the Vegas Golden Knights.
Because that would have been messy too.
Yeah.
That would have been
Golden
real
Knights
messy.
have an interesting player, and Alex Holtz and Akira Schmid, both former New Jersey Devils players, and Victor Olofsson of the Buffalo Sabres. Jake Gensel is the new star of the Tampa Bay Lightning. What a wild pickup. And the Bolts lost one of the most important defensemen in Mikhail Sergachev, who is now with the Utah Hockey Club. Nashville Predators picked up Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault from the Vegas Golden Knights. Jacob Chikrin is now with Washington. And we also got Andrew Mangiapane from the Calgary Flames. Tyler Bertuzzi is now with Chicago. Tyler Toffoli is now with San Jose. Pierre-Luc Dubois is now with the Washington Capitals. We said goodbye to Darcy Kemper, and he's now with the LA Kings again. Teuvo Teravainen, right?
Teravainen.
Yeah, I added an extra "nin" in there. He is also now with Chicago as well. I think those are some very interesting trades. There's some other people in there too. Jake Wallman with the San Jose Sharks.
I was going to say Kevin Hayes also going to the Penguins was big.
Yeah, Alec Martinez again. The Blackhawks picked up quite a few people.
The Blackhawks bulked up in the offseason. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll see if it means anything. Doubtful.
I still don't believe that the trading off fucking Jake Gensel to drop Steven fucking Stamkos, who has been loyal.
Yeah.
He has been not only loyal, he's been their captain for many, many years. That man has been around through the hard times when they sucked. Mm-hmm. He was around for the championships that they won. Like, how are you just going to fucking dog him like that?
Yeah.
The blatant disrespect.
Oh, absolutely.
By the fucking organization.
Yeah.
For your franchise's leading scorer. Like, what?
I mean, if there's one thing that NHL executives have, it's the goddamn audacity.
Where the fuck have a lot of audacity. Find that audacity?
They buy it in bulk from Costco.
Have to get on a plane and find it. Yeah. They must buy it in bulk. Because holy shit, that being said, Nashville Predators, welcome back to the chat.
Welcome back, baby.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
They loaded up.
Yeah. They're going to be a threat this year, I think.
I was very happy to see the Caps pick up Chikrin and Mangiapane. I think that they fill two massive roles that team needs.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a dope move. I think sticking with Charlie Lindgren as our goalie, he proved himself last year. Darcy, I think he was great. I think he just had an off season, whether it's he didn't fit within the Capitals organization or just he was going through his own thing. I don't know. I wish him all the best in LA, but not too much of the best. Because I prefer for LA to stay not a threat to me and my personal goals.
Right.
I'd prefer them to stay lower than Anaheim.
Yeah. Personally.
But
I do wish him all the best. I think he's a great guy. Bummer that it didn't work out, but super happy for Chuck. Yeah. He's gonna fucking kill it. Anaheim needs to get it shit together because y'all didn't do a goddamn thing. Minnesota did a few things. They signed Brock Faber to an extension. There's a few people that they were able to secure, and I think that's going to be really good for Minnesota in the long run. And I think you guys right now in Minnesota are just focusing on your coaching staff and trying to get a working system going. And then seeing what players need to get the axe. So I suspect we'll see several trades coming out of your neck of the woods in the season.
I think by the trade deadline,
Chris, I don't think we're going to see shit happen with you guys because I don't know what the fuck y'all are doing. I think you're trying to lose your way into a better pick and then go from there. And it hasn't worked because Gary Bettman hates your ass.
It hasn't worked 2 years in a row.
We are stockpiling top 5 picks in the hope that eventually we're not going to be fucking ass.
Yeah.
Picking up Robbie Fabry. All right. That's not awful. No. Fabry is a very useful player who can help solid depth perception, help with a veteran presence. What the fuck has Brian Dumoulin done for anybody lately?
Who?
Exactly. I will say the best thing that has come out of the offseason to start the year is the Ducks have a new captain.
Yeah.
Our first captain since Ryan Getzlaf. And that is the fucking Butcher. I'm so happy.
I saw that and I was like, oh man, Chris is gonna lose his shit.
I was so excited. I was like, "Fuck yeah! Can I call? I need Captain Butcher merch.
Yeah,
I need Captain Butcher merch."
I really want it
Anaheim,
to be shortened though to Captain Butch because I think that's funnier.
Yeah.
Captain Butch.
Shout out to Radko
if
also.
Right.
I
Love
just say,
him.
if you've listened to the podcast for a long time, you know we all have a little bit of love for Radko Kudas.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Fucking menace. There's a reason his name is the Butcher.
Literally, yeah. If he's not on your team, you fucking hate him.
Yeah, you absolutely hate him. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who won in the off season. I feel like my first thought is Nashville because Smashville is back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean,
picking
Caps definitely winners.
The Caps.
We were aggressive.
I love that Washington, but I love that you guys just filled what you needed.
Yeah.
You didn't get an excess of players. You don't have, we got 3 extra shooters. You don't have, you got what you needed.
No,
an offensive defenseman is 100% going to help you guys. And Mangiapane might be one of like the best tool players.
We also got Matt Waugh in free agency as well. So
yes, that's right. That's a nice move.
Yeah. But yeah, the Preds, I think the Devils are going to be incredible. I think I do think that well, actually, I don't know. Vegas, we still have some question marks on, which I know that's something that we didn't really have time to put into the show sheet. But Vegas just did something very interesting with Robin Lehner's contract. He's still not ready to come back to play. I don't know if he ever will be. And they fought to not have them paying him be a penalty against their cap. So there's always this will they, won't they with Robin coming back into the league, and it's looking like a won't this season. But they wanted to make sure that he still got paid because the other option was that they would have had to cut him. And I think that they recognize that he still is in need of support. Robin Lehner coming back from injury, but also has been very open with his PTSD, with his, I think he said he has bipolar as well.
He's severe anxiety. He struggled with alcoholism. Like the fact that the Golden Knights organization fought for him in a way that not many teams have done. Just shows me how fucking classy of an organization. It's that's special to know that your team is willing to fight for you off the ice. Speaks volumes about why people have loved playing in Vegas.
And it's one of those things where even the league came out and said that this is a highly unique circumstance. It's unprecedented, likely never to be duplicated. And so I think that makes it even more special that they fought so hard for him. So I think that they actually are going to be winners too. I think we're going to see them do some interesting stuff. I think that they're not there yet. Obviously, they were a bit of a disappointment at the end of last season. But I think they have almost all the components.
The question mark is, what do you do without one of your best scorers?
Yep.
You just lost Marchessault.
Yeah.
Marchessault is going to be... I've seen peaks of what that first line can be for Nashville. I just can't.
Dude,
but losing Marchessault is a huge blow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Granted, that team is so loaded that they're probably not going to have to worry. It's next man up in Vegas, but that was a big shock. The one move that I like here that's very notable and I don't think is going to get enough talks. Utah is essentially retooling.
Yeah.
And your first big piece to be Mikhail Sergachev, that's a nice little pickup for Utah.
Yeah.
They've got some guys over there that really just need help.
Yeah.
So I think Sergachev did really well with Seattle. I think that's a nice move for him as well, and fresh scenery and a fresh city.
Yeah.
Utah is getting their first taste of pro hockey in the next couple days, like on a regular season standpoint. So
right.
I'm very interested to watch how Utah does this year.
Oh, same.
I'm still sad their name isn't the Storm and Mormons, but I will move past that one someday.
If you learn nothing, we did just say that we thought that maybe the PWHL should have given it 2 seasons before picking a name. Utah. If you don't get it right, I will be disappointed when I have to give you the same talking to.
You should have picked a name to start, Utah.
No,
we should have. I mean, we knew it was coming, though. That's the hard part. It's like they had plenty of time to brainstorm names.
I think it's going to end up being the Yetis, and I'm fine with that.
I'm happy with that.
The Yetis would be kind of cool.
Dope as shit.
Yeah.
Like, if they do a logo right, maybe like a 90s-esque.
I'm fine with the Yetis. Again, that to me is hockey. That to me gives me a clear idea of what the fuck their mascot is going to be. I'm cool with it.
Not the Boston Fleet.
Not the Boston Fleet.
I don't know, Dave, do you have any thoughts on any of these moves?
What?
Do you have any thoughts on any of the moves in the offseason?
Nothing that wasn't already said by you guys. You know, I'm excited to kind of see what Utah does, just as a franchise. But yeah, I mean,
Utah's color scheme is fire.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's really
and
awesome.
I hate that I love it as much
I love
as I
it.
do.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Oh, another move that we didn't really talk about, but did happen, was Patrick Laine is now a member of the Montreal Canadiens and is now out for 2 to 3 months. Danger, do you want to?
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate a little more on that?
And I hadn't initially seen the hit. I knew the drama behind it. Or I should say that happened after it.
Yeah.
Post hit.
But yeah. I watched the hit today, and it is pretty nasty. I personally do think that it was not necessarily an intentional, like, to make him be out for as long as he is.
It was a dirty move.
It was a dirty move. It was a knee-to-knee contact. He did have to leave the game afterwards. It was just kind of a nasty hit. As of the injury report, because I did pre-look at that, it says not expected back until December 1st, which is a pretty nasty time frame to be out.
I think I saw an article earlier today that said that he's incredibly relieved because it's not going to require surgery, which would have put him further out.
Right.
Or not major surgery.
It's only a sprain.
Yeah.
I did see, the concerns were, it could be a torn ACL, which would mean the season's likely over.
Right.
Torn MCL, depending on the grade, it would determine how long he would be out for. And this is like a tweet from a doctor. Torn meniscus, they said, could be 4 to 6 weeks if trimmed, 4+ months if repaired.
Yeah.
Obviously, with what you said, thankfully no surgery would be required. And then a bone bruise would lead to week. Obviously, it's not a bone bruise. I'm willing to bet it's a torn MCL. Based on how it hit, and because he knew right away. He before he even hit the ice was holding his leg up in the air. I feel so bad for him. Like, this guy has just had a shit go of things. And is such a great dude. Like, I think it was Chris shared the TikTok, I think it was, or a tweet about him and his fiance, continuing their support of mental health issues. And we talked extensively last season about how he's really been speaking out about his own struggles and being open about that and encouraging other people to be open and seek help for mental health.
Yeah.
And again, just an all-around, like, great dude, seemingly. Of course, like, I don't personally know him. He could be an asshole, but I don't think he is.
I got Patty's phone number with boys.
Right? Like, I would love, Patty, please please come on the podcast. We'd love to talk to you. But yeah, it just, I just was like, are you serious? This poor guy, like, was just, you could tell that he was excited to be back full time. Teammates were excited to have him on the Habs. Like, I think hockey fans in general were excited to have him be back full time.
Yeah. Well,
so the fact that this happened just really sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's a speedy recovery. Thank God it's not a surgical thing.
Well, and it feels like he was finally getting his, like, because I think we had talked about it last year. It didn't seem to work in Columbus.
No.
Yeah.
Like, he tried, it just didn't
work.
fit, where I feel like this fit in Montreal, especially with Marty St. Louis' coaching style, with the way that team plays. I feel like Patty is going to fit in perfectly there. And it's just unfortunate that he won't get to start the season.
Well, and I think, too, what's unfortunate about it, the whole situation is you have that hit from, oh my God, what was his name? Cedric Pare. So Pare hits him. There's no call. Nothing happens, even though Laine needed help off the ice, right? So then you look for a little bit of on-ice justice, which I know that there's been a lot of talk in the league about whether or not players should be taking that kind of thing into their hands. But the reality is that fucking Dops isn't going to do shit, and they didn't. So Arbor-Shakai then went after Pare and beat the shit out of him. I mean, it was gloved hand to helmet. Pare did go down, but wasn't like down in a heap kind of a thing. The refs got in there, broke it up. He obviously, I believe, got ejected from the game. And then, as Danger will cover later, there was a suspension, or there was a fine issued to him. But there's been nothing issued to Pare for his knee-to-knee dirty hit. There was nothing in-game. There was nothing post-game.
Yeah.
And so that's been a lot of the discourse, too, is like, it's unfortunate for Laine to, thank God it's just a sprain and nothing more. But it's also unfortunate because he had to have a teammate stick up for him and now have to pay, I mean, like thousands and thousands of dollars because the Department of Player Safety can't get their fucking shit together in order to prevent this kind of play from happening in the first goddamn place.
Right. And the fact that, okay, so I had just seen this reading in that first article a little bit further down. But Laine is taking the blame for it. He said, quote, "I don't think anybody's trying to hurt anybody. Hockey is a fast game, and I kind of put myself in that situation a little bit trying to make a stop. It's just an unfortunate collision." He texted me afterwards, which I gave him respect for that. Yeah. So I will say that's a classy move.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, depending on what the text said. But Laine certainly does not need to say, "I put myself in this situation." Nobody... Like, you can make a stop without need any contact.
Yeah. But that's the type of person that fucking Patrick Laine is. He's that type of guy where he's just going to take the blame on himself. And it's like, bro, that's admirable as fuck, but like, that's not...
But let's call it what it is.
And, other people were saying on Twitter and whatnot, like, nobody could blame him, too, being that he has had mental health struggles.
Yeah.
Could this be a setback for him?
Yeah.
And it could.
I hope not.
I don't think it will. I think he mentally is in a really good place.
Yeah.
Right.
But, it's definitely a thing that could happen.
And if it does happen,
obviously
everyone will be understanding, I hope.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But it is a sprain. I hadn't seen that yet. And I am thankful for at least because we've seen it happen before to where, the hit didn't get called. And then because Laine threw his helmet on the ice and threw a little bit of a frustration tantrum, we've seen it happen to where then he's penalized for that unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that didn't happen. So, because and we talked about it the last 2 seasons, of the podcast, and it's an opinion that we all, I think, share. But the inconsistencies in the reffing needs to be addressed. And
oh, for sure.
like Dee said, it's one of those where this type of thing needs to be called.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's intentional or not.
I mean, if he anytime you have a player down on the ice,
maybe it wasn't an intentional. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it takes you out of a game, you should maybe have a call made, or a fine or something like that. Like,
and we all know that there's like freak accidents, of course we know that, but like a lot of the stuff that gets let go by the refs is like, no, y'all need to start calling that if you want to see less enforcer behavior in the organization. Then you need to call shit so that people don't feel like they have to enforce it, because that's why all of this is happening, is people feel like, well, the refs aren't going to do diddly, so I better step up and be my teammates' only like champion.
Right. I do see a good quote here from the defenseman David Savard saying, "We thought it was going to be maybe longer than that. Looking at the video and stuff, we weren't sure if it was going to be good news, but it was better than a lot of us expected. We'll try to support him in that and make sure that he feels a part of the team. I think that's the biggest thing when you come to a new team, especially if you're not around the guys all the time. So we'll make sure that he has the best, or we can make sure that he feels at home here in Montreal, which is, I think, a really good thing and a good move from the team. I think that shows that the team is excited to have Line 8 be on their roster. And obviously they can only do so much with it being the start of their season. But I don't know that he would necessarily have gotten that kind of reaction in Columbus, to where the guys would necessarily go out of their way to still make him feel a part of.
Yeah. Arbor Shagai said, "I got your fucking back, bro."
Yeah.
Basically,
literally.
Yeah.
Quite
and Shakai's also been in the news too, for what was possibly a elbowing hit in his own right. Yeah. That's a whole other thing.
I know, he did not.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
He's not had a good week.
No. Shakai needs to maybe take a seat.
We'll talk about that in a little bit as well.
Yeah. Take about 60 to 70% off of their Squirrely Dan. Like, Jesus.
But you know who needs to get out of their seat? It's fucking Boston. Good God.
Dude.
Chris has been messaging about this Swayman contract for so long. And like with every new like revelation that he sends us, like it just gets more and more confounding, honestly.
Yes.
So for those that haven't been following everything that's been going on, in the offseason, the Bruins decided to trade Linus Ullmark to the Ottawa Senators. As a way to, they couldn't, let's be real, they can't afford to have Swayman and Ullmark. Like, they just can't afford to have it. Jeremy Swayman is a restricted free agent. Jeremy Swayman is one of the top 5 goalies in the league.
Yeah.
Who deserves to be paid appropriately.
Correct.
For everything he has done for his team.
Correct.
The league, or the team, the Bruins and Swayman have not met. Their terms have not been like agreed upon.
No.
And it's getting messier and messier. In a press conference a few days ago, Cam Neely, who is a member of the front office with the Boston Bruins, was asked about it and the situation, and his quote said, let me see if I can find his quote, because it was crazy. It was to the effects of, Jeremy's a good kid, and I don't want to talk too much on it, but I know I'd have 64 million reasons to play. This has been met by Jeremy Swayman's agent by, we've never heard this number.
Yeah.
In any way. The numbers being reported, and I don't know how accurate this is. This is, from what I'm hearing, has come directly from Paul Whitney's mouth. And I mean, Whit is one of the most respected former players.
With a grain of salt, though, still.
Yeah, take it with a grain of salt, but I'd say that it's probably not entirely incorrect.
It's at least not far off.
Yeah. I'm hearing it was a 4-year, $6.2 million AAV, which is a fucking joke.
Yeah.
For Jeremy Swayman. That is a joke.
Yeah.
Let me see. I had the quote from Jeremy's agent is normally I do not release statements or discuss negotiations through the media. However, in this case, I feel I need to defend my client. At today's press conference, $64 million was referenced. This was the first time that number was discussed in our negotiations prior to the press conference. No offer has been made reaching that level. We're extremely disappointed. This was not fair to Jeremy. We will take a few days to discuss where we go from. You know where you go from here, Jeremy? You get the fuck out of Boston.
Yeah.
Because they clearly don't respect you the way that every other team in the league was going to respect you.
Interesting you say that, Chris. Because in a TikTok segment, this one is verified, this one actually will be on TikTok. We're going to talk about a little docuseries that's coming to Amazon Prime. However, this part of this whole Swayman contract negotiation plays out in that docuseries. And it's a really interesting quote that you'll hear. So some members of media got to preview the series, which launches on Friday, October 4th. But Swayman says in the episode, when you go into that room, you don't say a word. My arbitrator started first. He said all of these great things. The arbitrator on their side, their job is to help the management side and to ripple it into players. And hearing what you're not worthy of and what you think you're worthy of, that was hard to hear. You don't forget what was said. I wrote them down, and I looked at the other day and I had a couple of check marks. My biggest knock, so like the thing that they said was the worst about him, was how I wasn't trustworthy in the playoffs. Check. Because boy was he this year. Swayman has admitted that he kept a list of all the bad things that Boston said with him in their arbitration during the season. And he's going to hold that against him because he has more than made up for some of his perceived failings as a goaltender.
Yeah.
And that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But for those of you that want to see Swayman speak about this himself, he will be doing it in the Face Off Inside the NHL series on Amazon Prime.
So here's where 64 million reasons needs to be more, in my opinion. 2023-2024 season in 44 games played. 25, 10, and 8. He made 1,287 saves, had a goals against average of 2.53, and a save percentage of .916.
Well, his
3 shutouts.
Yeah.
And an assist.
His playoff stats are crazier than that, though. He started 12 of the Bruins' 13 games, led all goalies with a .933 save percentage in the fucking playoffs. If their offense could have done a little bit more, they would have walked into a cup with that. He allowed 2 or fewer goals in all 7 games, including a 30 save performance in his Game 7 overtime victory. Like that's not nothing. That's more than fucking $4 million a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's disrespectful.
Million is also a slap in the face.
It's disrespectful.
Sergei Bobrovsky is making $10 million a year.
Yeah.
And he's one of the top 5 goalies in the league.
And they traded away his best friend, Chris.
Yeah. The fuck?
Let's add that into the calculations.
Who's he gonna hug?
Right?
He's no one to hug now. He's not gonna hug Korpisalo.
No. Well, he already said that the goalie hug is done. He was like, that's something special between me and Ullmark. And so that's not going to be something I do with the next person on the team. I'll figure out something else, some other way for us to be friends. But that is only for me and Ullmark.
I can't wait to see them playing against each other because that's going to be the cutest thing. And I've made it clear I'm not a Boston Bruins fan, but I'm
a fucking Swaymark fan for sure.
Same. Yeah. That was one of my favorite things about it.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe the disrespect that this man is getting.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Cam Neely, you're the fucking team president.
Yeah.
Like, what gives you the fucking gall to just go after your star goaltender like that?
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know the history of the Bruins and star players, Tyler Seguin. Let's see, who else? Joe Thornton. Phil Kessel.
Yeah.
I can keep Dougie Hamilton. I can keep going on players that they've had that were stars that they fucked over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. That's fine. You know what?
Let him fuck it up.
Let his contract. Let them fuck that up. Because the second that he becomes a fully unrestricted free agent, there are 31 teams that are going to be like, "Hey, Jeremy, come play with us. Come here.
Yeah.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Yeah.
Come play with us."
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. I don't fucking get it, man.
It's nutso.
Yeah.
Where do we think he ends up? Do we think he eventually re-signs in Boston?
I wouldn't. For me, the disrespect of the incredible lowball offers that he received again after the incredible performance he had for them in the playoffs, and then for them to come out and be like, "Well, we've been trying to work with Jeremy. We offered him $64 million and he said no." Like, that is so disrespectful that I would have no faith in the organization. I would not want to stay there. He's lucky enough that he's in a position where he can make that decision. There are many NHLers who won't be able to be like, "Well, fuck you. I respect myself too much. I'm going to walk away," because they're not going to get the money or the attention. Jeremy will. So I don't see him sticking around in Boston. I don't know where he goes because I'd have to really look at who has cap space or who's willing to give somebody else up for it. But I don't see him sticking around in Boston.
3 teams he won't go to. He's not going to go to Florida. He's not going to go to Tampa. He's not going to go to.
Yeah.
That should be your benchmark right there. When you look at your goalie's pay, where does he rank in the league? Sergei Bobrovsky, arguably the best goaltender in the NHL, $10 million per year for the Florida Panthers. He's earned that. He also, in my opinion, earned the fucking the Vezina, and he should have been Finals MVP. But that's neither here nor there. Andrei Vasilevsky. Vasilevsky is making $9.5 million a year with the Lightning. Connor Hellebuck, your Vezina winner, $8.5 million with Winnipeg. Ilya Sorokin, $8.25 million with the Islanders. John Gibson, as bad as the Ducks are, John Gibson's making $6.4 million to suck.
Yeah. You shouldn't be making less than him.
What are we doing? You posed a very interesting question of the week, D.
Yes. I also didn't mean for me to read it. I just apparently didn't change that out. So.
Well, it's fine. You read it now, bitch. It's
my
your
question.
turn.
Well, and I am very curious about this. When I heard about it, there's a few rumors floating around that the players have gone to the Players Association to ask that the preseason games be cut down to just 2 preseason games and possibly add additional games to the regular season instead. So I guess that's kind of the question. Do we think that doing that reducing preseason to 2 and adding 2 games to a regular season try would actually be of a benefit to the players? Or do we think that it doesn't make a difference either way? Danger, what do you think?
I think it could benefit really in the seeing less injuries to start the season. I worry about how do I want to say it? It could affect in how it'll decrease the ability for teams to kind of get to know the playing style of other teams prior to regular season games. And I think that that's an important part of, especially our just standard kind of rivalries, right? As, you know, obviously teams make changes in the off season and you're cutting down new players and you're adjusting to new coaches and all of the things that can take place in the off season. I think that it's an important aspect of giving or having the players give their best performance in regular season games against these other teams. But again, I mean, you know, we've seen a lot of serious injuries come out of preseason games, in particular in the last, let's say, 5 years. Obviously, and more than that, but you know, Line certainly is not a one-off in a serious preseason injury.
Yeah.
So it would be an interesting change if it were to happen. I kind of like the amount. I mean, I don't know if everybody plays, but I think the Wild have like 8 preseason games. I don't know if that's standard across the league or not. So to cut it down to 2 seems a bit excessive.
That's a huge drop.
That's a huge change.
Yeah.
But again, like that would give us a potentially a longer off season too, being that they, you know, however many years ago extended the regular season into, I mean, playoffs are what, in fucking June now? Like that feels a bit excessive too, you know? So it would definitely be an interesting change, but I don't necessarily think that cutting it down to 2 games and then just adding 2 back into the regular season is the correct move.
Yeah. Chris, what
you know,
do
you could cut it down by half.
Yeah. Fair.
I mean, I do agree with a lot of things that Danger said. That's a very drastic cut. I can understand if the players would rather not have to worry about injury. I mean, to Dangerous point, Patrick Laine, also Macklin Celebrini is day-to-day right now. Nazem Kadri got hurt, which is a huge loss for Calgary if he's not able to start the season.
John Tavares also.
Tavares, we're seeing big names fly off the board before we even get puck drop in a regular season game. I'm on board if this is what the players want. I feel like 2 preseason games is not enough for them to be back in shape, but what do I know? You know, I don't play pro hockey. 84 games. I mean, I'm not going to be upset with 2 more regular season games in any aspect.
Yeah. More hockey. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. While baseball at 162 games is way too fucking long, and the NFL having a 17 game season is really short.
Yeah.
I think the NHL and the NBA kind of have that sweet spot of like they have it's a long season, but it's not too short and it's not too long. I don't hate it. If this is what the players want specifically, I'm all for backing whatever the players want.
I guess my only reservation and why I think it may not be the benefit to all players is that, especially in the organizations that I follow and watch, they do really use preseason games to further cull their team. You know what I mean? When they're in training camp, they have a ton of players. And you don't know how a newer player, like a young kid, is going to act until you see them out there with the big guys. And if you only have 2 chances to do that, I don't think that that's enough time, A, for those players to really get their feet under them and showcase what they can do on the ice. B, I don't think it's enough time for the coaches, too, to really evaluate. Because if you're only getting 3 shifts of, 45 seconds, how can you see anything in that, realistically, if that's all you get over the course of a couple of games? And then also, I think that I do see how it would be a benefit to the older players to not get as injured. I just think that maybe what we should actually be calling for, though, is for the preseason games to be run like fucking high school games. where the refs are calling so much more to prevent injury. Like maybe you just run a tighter game, and then when it's a regular season, you open it up a little bit. The boys can get a little wild. It's fine. But I think that like maybe in the preseason, if it's a concern of like where we're not all the way back yet, we want to protect our star players. Maybe we just
have
tamp
rules
down.
Implemented.
Yeah.
Have rules implemented for preseason only.
Correct.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Maybe reduce the allowable hits.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, hockey's a physical sport, and hockey will always be a physical
absolutely.
sport. But you know, you can play hockey without bodying someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And so I think if they did that, I think you don't need to reduce the number of games if you just increase the reffing ability.
Yeah.
Actually get competent refs.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that's my hot take. Hire competent refs. And then you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
But again, I wouldn't say no to 2 extra games in a season.
Right.
So
yeah. If you guys want to have your questions featured on Question of the Week, feel free to hit us up in the comments, hit us up on social media.
Yep.
We have said we do accept carrier pigeon.
We do.
We do. In fact, we also have an email address set up. I will get that linked for everyone. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
Danger.
Yes, sir.
We got a little bit of spicy boys early in the year.
Well, yeah. So
we even have a suspension.
We even have a significant suspension. We'll talk about Arbor Zakai.
Zakai.
Yeah, Zakai. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't remember. From Montreal, we touched on it earlier. He did get fined for that unsportsmanlike conduct against Cedric. Pierre.
Right.
Anyway, it started already, guys. We do this far too late in the recording. I only half apologize. But he got fined on September 29th in the amount of $3,385.42 for that unsportsmanlike conduct. And this was way back in May, so I'm sure you guys touched on it a little bit last season. But I don't know when the date of action was. May 13th.
I don't think we had at that time a specific. We knew it was 6 months. We didn't have a number of games because they didn't have a game schedule out. So we talked about it in broad terms.
Right, but Valerie Nikushkin from the Avs got suspended for 26 plus games.
Yeah.
So it was 3 2024 postseason games, 6 preseason games, and at least 17 regular season games for this season for violating the terms of the player assistance program. We obviously don't know exactly what that entailed.
No.
Being that that's all confidential. But he is forfeiting a whopping $1,390,540.54.
Yeah.
I know that at least in the length of our podcast, this is the largest amount forfeited in the preseason or postseason.
And just for a comparison factor here, last season the amount forfeited in suspensions was $1,630,667. So he alone almost breaches, and that's if he only gets to 17 games. If he goes beyond 17, he may beat entirely last year's combined suspension record,
which is
one
insane.
fucking player. That is crazy.
But yeah, so it absolutely insane.
Yeah.
What? There's nothing else you can really say about it.
No.
But yeah, thank you for having that number ready because I was about to go back and look at it.
Yeah.
But it just. I'm a nosy bitch. We've talked about that before. I want to know what the fuck you did. obviously we don't get to know, but if anybody has the insider info on that, please DM it to me.
Yeah, send us a carrier pigeon. It's fine.
Right?
We're sworn to secrecy.
Hedwig will happily deliver that message for me, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
As far as injuries go, to start off, with Anaheim, we have Troy Terry, who is out day-to-day with a lower body injury. John Gibson is out with an abdominal injury, expected to be out until October 18th, so he'll miss, at least the first couple of games, most likely. For Boston, we have Brad Marchand out with an illness, expected to be out until October 5th. Matthew Portois, undisclosed injury, expected to be out until October 5th, which I think is probably their season opener, I want to say. I could be wrong on that, but I'm willing to bet. And then Alec Regula, with a knee injury, expected to be out until October 5th. And as we talked about earlier, Jeremy Swayman, out with that contract dispute, expected to be out until at least October 8th, but who fucking knows at this point?
Yeah.
For Buffalo, we have Ryan Johnson out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until October 10th. For Calgary, we have Martin Pospisil?
Sure.
Pospisil. There's a joke there. I'm not going to go there. Out with a lower body injury. He is just listed as day-to-day. For Carolina, we have Riley Stillman with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least October 5th. Joaquim. Ryan, that's an interesting way to spell it. Undisclosed injury, expected to be out until at least October 5th. And Jesper Fast with a neck injury, expected to be out all season.
Ooh.
It looks like.
Yikes.
Which really sucks.
Yeah.
For Chicago, we have Laurent Brossois, we'll say. That's probably not right, but we'll go with it. Knee injury,
that is.
Expected to be
You're
okay.
Yeah.
Expected to be out until at least October 11th. And then Artyom
Levshinov.
I was close
enough.
Yep.
With a foot injury, expected to be out until at least October 8th. For Colorado, we have Gabriel Landeskog, I know it is, but that's fine. With a knee injury, he is listed as IR, so our first IR player, expected to be out until at least October 18th.
Mm-hmm.
This is big because it's projected he finally plays again this year.
Yeah.
He's been out for 2 years with that knee injury.
That's right. He's been out the length of our podcast.
There is a good chance that Gabriel comes back this year before 2025.
Big Gabe.
Right. Which would be huge.
That would be very huge, yeah.
Because he is a fun player to watch, in my opinion. I hate that he plays for Colorado, but Artturi Lehkonen out with a shoulder injury, expected to be out until at least October 9th, and then Valerie Nikushkin out with that suspension, expected to be out until at least November 15th. For Columbus, we have Gavin Brindley. He hurt his fingy.
Not his fingy.
He's out with a finger injury on IR, expected to be out until at least November 12th. Justin Danforth out with a wrist injury, expected to be out until at least October 4th. For Gavin, November 12th, not October 4th. And then Eric Gudbranson out with a lower body injury. He is also expected to be out until at least October 4th. For Dallas, Jason Robertson out with a foot injury. He is expected to be back or out until at least October 10th. For Edmonton, we have Roby Jarventi out with a knee injury, expected to be out until at least October 9th. And poor Evander Kane out with a hip injury, expected to be out until at least February 22nd.
That hip injury was gnarly, though.
Yeah. It was a gnarly injury, and I do kind of feel bad for him. I'm not a huge Evander Kane fan, but that was a nasty injury. For Florida, they're already kind of falling apart. Most of them are just out day-to-day, though. And it looks like the syphilis bus has struck already. Justin Sordiff, he is out with an undisclosed injury listed as day-to-day. Mackie, oh god, these are so many new names. Samoskevich. Thank you. The upper body injury listed as day-to-day. Jonah Kadojevic, out with undisclosed syphilis bus. Day-to-day. Will Lockwood, undisclosed, day-to-day. And Thomas Nosek out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least October 8th. For Los Angeles, we have Drew Doughty, out with an ankle injury, expected to be out until at least December 4th.
That one was big, too.
Nasty one, too.
That was a real bad one.
Yeah. Also for LA, we have Arthur Kelyev, out with a collarbone injury, expected to be out until at least November 29th. So two names out for a significant amount of time there. For the Minnesota Wild, we have Matt Boldy out with a lower body injury. Expected to be out until October 10th, which is our first regular season game. And poor Jacob Middleton, I have my mid-season shirt on, because poor boy has a bruise.
A big old bruise.
Where the bruise is, probably on his dick, being that he is expected to be out until at least October 10th.
Listen, if I had a bruised dick,
probably on his dick,
I'd also be sitting out.
That would prevent me from playing hockey. I think
it would prevent me from doing a lot more than playing hockey.
Fucking yeah. For real. That's what it would do, for sure.
Yeah.
For Montreal, we have Patrick Laine out with that knee injury, expected to be out until at least December 1st. Carey Price, knee injury, expected to be out all season on IR.
Nobody knows if he's ever coming back. That's really the question.
Right. He also has been out for 2 years, at least 2 years, right?
3 years?
Yeah.
3 years, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see, but
he has no reason to come back. He has nothing to prove. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Caden Goulet, out with an abdominal injury, expected to be out until at least October 9th. And then Raphael Harvey Pinard, leg injury, expected to be out until at least November 14th.
What a great name.
I know, that is a great name.
It is a great name. It is a great name. For New Jersey, we have Luke Hughes, shoulder injury, expected to be out until at least November 7th.
Bummer.
That's a big one.
That's a big one for them.
That was a big one. Brett Pesce.
Pesce.
Like Joe.
Yeah.
Just
Lower leg
angry.
injury, expected to be out until at least October 10th. For New York Islanders, we have Ryan Pulak. He's out with an illness, listed as day-to-day. Hudson Fashing, out with a lower body injury, listed as day-to-day.
Great name.
And
also.
Ilya Sorkin, that is a great name. Although as a massage therapist, I
think of fascia.
Think of fascia. Ilya Sorkin, out with a back injury, expected to be out until at least October 10th. So hopefully we will see him back. Because I think he was out most of the season, wasn't he? Last
year? He got hurt towards the end of the season, I believe.
Okay. So then I'm remembering probably really far back when he was hurt. I think in our first year.
If I remember correctly, he got hurt towards the end of the year.
Okay. For the Rangers, we have Chad Rudweedle. Makes me think of a Pokemon.
I know, it's a great name.
It is a great name. Undisclosed, also apparently riding that syphilis bus. He is listed as day-to-day. Artemi Panarin, out with a lower body injury, listed as day-to-day. Jimmy Vesey, lower body injury, expected to be out until at least October 22nd. Ryan Lindgren, upper body injury, expected to be out until at least October 9th. And Riley Nash, with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least the 9th as well. For Ottawa, Brady Tkachuk, I am devastated, as I'm sure many of you are. He's up with an upper body injury. That was sarcasm, if you couldn't tell. Listed as day-to-day.
Yep.
Tim Stutzel, with an upper body injury, listed as day-to-day. Excuse me. Thomas Chabot, also riding that syphilis bus, listed as day-to-day.
And those are 3-star players. I just want to point out, Tkachuk, Stutzel, and Chabot are all big players. Or Chabot.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least they're just listed as day-to-day. I mean, chances are they'll play in their season opener. For Philadelphia, we have Nick Seeler, undisclosed, expected to be out until at least October 11th, and Ryan Ellis with that back injury on IR, expected to be out all season.
Oh.
For Pittsburgh, we have Vasily Ponomarev.
Mm-hmm.
Upper body injury, expected to be out until at least October 9th. Alex Nedeljkovic, lower body injury, expected to be out until at least October 14th. Matt Nieto, knee injury on IR, expected to be out until at least November 2nd. Blake Lizotte with a concussion, expected to be out until at least October 9th. That's the first at least known concussion that we've seen.
Yeah.
And then Erik Karlsson, upper body injury, expected to be out until at least October 9th as well. For San Jose, we have Macklin Silbrini. Lower body injury, expected to be out until at least October 5th. Logan Couture with a groin injury on IR, expected to be out until at least October 10th. Yaroslav Askavarov, lower body injury, expected to be out until at least October 10th. Mark Edward Vlasic, like the pickles. Upper body injury, expected to be out until at least October 10th. And Thomas Bordelot, lower body injury, expected to be out until at least October 10th. For Seattle, we have Jared McCann.
Pickle bitch.
Yeah, I want some pickles now. I finished my pickles I had in the house the other day. Jared McCann, lower body injury, he's listed as day-to-day. For St. Louis, we have Scott Harrington, upper body injury, expected to be out until at least October 5th. Torrey Krug, ankle injury, expected to be out until at least September 15th, so all season. And Oscar Sundqvist, knee injury, expected to be out until at least October 5th. He's another one that's just been injury prone the last couple of years. For Tampa Bay, we have... Yeah, I mean, even when he played he was injured when we acquired him, but he didn't play many games with the Wild. For Tampa Bay, we have Gage Goncalves.
I think so.
Upper body listed as day-to-day. Logan Brown, undisclosed. Day-to-day. Luke Glendening, undisclosed as well, day-to-day. And Mikey Eyssimont? Sure. Lower body injury, expected to be out until at least October 15th. For Toronto, we have Yanni Hakanpää.
My favorite name.
Right? Knee injury, expected to be out until at least October 9th. John Tavares, lower body injury, expected to be out until at least October 9th. Dakota Mermis. We got rid of him. Did I realize that? I don't know. Anyway, jaw injury, expected to be out until at least October 16th. And then Connor Dwyer, shoulder injury, expected to be out until at least October 9th. For Utah, we have John Morano. Upper body injury, expected to be out until at least October 10th. And Nick Bjugstad, upper body, expected to be out until at least November 2nd. My favorite name ever. For Vancouver, we have Puss Suter. Yeah. Upper body injury listed as day-to-day. Teddy Bluger, lower body injury listed as day-to-day. Akito Hirose, he has a concussion listed as day-to-day. Dakota Joshua, groin injury, expected to be out until at least October 30th. And Thatcher Demko, knee injury, expected to be out until at least October 9th. For Vegas, as we discussed a little earlier, we have Robin Lehner still, that hip injury. Again, this is saying expect to be out all season, but we'll see if and when he ever comes back. And then William Karlsson, undisclosed day-to-day. For Washington, we have Hunter Shepard, lower body injury, listed as day-to-day. TJ Oshie with a back injury. Ooh, he's out all season still.
Yeah, he has not yet decided if he's going to return.
Oh, that's not fun.
Yeah.
I knew he got hurt last season, but I didn't realize.
And that's the same with Backstrom, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Backstrom also hasn't decided if he's coming back. Basically, none of our boys have decided.
It was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then lastly, for Winnipeg, we have Gerard. Anderson Dolan, undisclosed, listed as day-to-day. David Gustafson, lower body injury, listed as day-to-day. Logan Stanley, knee injury, expected to be out until at least October 26th. And Ville Hinola, ankle injury, expected to be out until at least October 24th.
That's a lot of injuries for preseason.
Yeah.
Season doesn't even start until, well, I guess today when this podcast goes live.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that handful of layover injuries from last year or years prior. I guess it was a little more than a handful, but yeah, still a lot of preseason injuries. Just no bueno.
Yeah.
Which it brings effect into our next topic, which after 3 years of discussing it, we have finally created the Pucked Up Fantasy Hockey League.
Yep.
For those that would like to keep up with it, we will be kind of talking about it each week. We have some, the names are great. Peace, Love, Puss Suitor, which is D. F. Scott Fitzgerald, which is John, who is one of Maul's friends. We have the Wild Weasts, which is our buddy Wes, Wild Weast himself. Zero to Knife Fight, which is our very own Danger. My buddy Marcello thought it'd be hilarious to name his team Marcello's BBC. Danger Son Matt named his team, and I love that. Gordon Bombay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see you changed it. That's awesome.
We have Northeastern Maulers, which is our very own Goss Maul, who you will be seeing sporadically throughout this season. He's going to join us for some episodes. Nightwings, which is Drew, who is a someone who has helped us out with our D&D stuff, who's going to, once we get all that going. The Dixon Cider, which is our very own Dave. We convinced Dave to join in.
No, let me correct you. Dave was very butthurt when I told him that I wasn't going to allow him to play fantasy hockey this first year. And I say butthurt because it's funny, but he was like legitimately hurt. And I was like, well, I figured that like you'd want to learn how fantasy hockey works and like you could, kind of watch my team and whatever. Like, but he was like, but what? Anyway.
Well, and then Wes
the asshole got
him.
the first pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was random. I swear to God, it was
totally random. But I called it ahead of time.
Yeah, you did, actually.
Those of you that don't know, 2 years ago, months before the playoffs, Dave correctly guessed how the playoffs would wind up.
Yeah, we had him.
Vegas would take it in so many games and whatever.
Yeah.
And he called the finals. He had all of these explanations, which I don't think any of them not all of them had factors.
Right.
But the fact that he called every fucking game, we're like,
pissed.
Bro, what?
Correctly.
So mad.
And purely looking at the statistics of it, because he is not a big sports guy. Like, he kind of watches sports, but not like we do,
got it wrong
especially not hockey. Right. He did get it wrong last year. However, that first year, I think all of us were shocked.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so Dixon, sorry. I'm surprised it's not hard Dixon Cider.
I know. The Dixon Cider. And I round out the 10-team league with the Letterkenny Irish, which is what I always pick with my fantasy hockey teams.
And funnily enough...
Dave...
Oh, yeah, sorry. Go for it.
What? No. Yeah, as I say, the fact that Dave got first pick and then ignored every piece
all
of advice
the rules of draft
we all gave him. He ignored every rule, and we all were like, Dave, don't do it.
I have to say,
Alex Ovechkin number 1 overall.
Yes.
He almost picked a goalie number 1.
Which is so funny because he told me, he was like, D, you're going to be mad at me. And I was like, for what? And he's like, I'm going to pick Alex. And I was like, literally go for it. And he was like, you're not going to be mad? And I was like, no.
Well, because I kind of said, like, I mean... told him, I'm like, I draft poorly.
Yeah.
Like, stat-wise, I draft poorly. I like my players that I like to watch, and I picked far too many wild players.
Yeah.
But I also got in a drafting war with my own child, so that's fine.
It all worked out for me.
I like those guys, and then I can trade them off as I want to and whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm going to watch wild games anyway. I may as well take some wild players. But yeah, I initially was like, D might want Ovechkin. He's a good pick. I wouldn't pick him first.
I would never have picked him first.
I would have. You could have gotten him like 5th round.
Yeah.
He probably would have been there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it worked out though because I ended up second pick.
Yeah.
And he left me with literally anybody I wanted.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Danger and I were back to back in the middle of the pack, which is the worst spots to be in a snake draft. But we kept stealing each other's picks and then being like sending each other messages being like, fuck you, no fuck you, no fuck you.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Sorry, I love you, but fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funniest part to me actually is the fact that the first week's matchups are me against Danger and Chris against Maul. So it's like the podcast hosts are battling it out for week 1 of our fantasy hockey league. And that is just so perfect for our inaugural season of fantasy hockey.
I love it. It'll be a good season.
I think we're split too in standing. Let me take a look at the standings. So I am not in. I'm by myself. It is you
with a bunch of the other people. Yeah.
All in Danger.
But yeah, I think
Matt's in my division.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. It'll be a good season. Matt had some really good picks too.
Matt's
I mean, we all really
solid.
We all had good picks.
Yeah. Like
interesting,
I said to you,
interesting.
My only gripe is he went heavy with Minnesota. But again, it's like other than that, his team is solid.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean it.
I'm still trying to find out where the teams are. Oh, there we go. Just have to read over to the side more. East versus West.
Yeah.
So keep up with that. We're definitely going to be talking about that not only on the podcast but in the Discord server. So if you guys are interested in what's going on, come hang out with us in the Discord server.
Absolutely,
for sure.
It's a good time.
It is only fitting that we end off on a good note. Well, yes, there's some sadness around this, but we are going to our favorite segment, or my favorite segment, the obscure NHL Player of the Week. I didn't have the horn ready. Shit.
Don't worry, I had my mouth horn all set up.
Hold on.
I hate
all right,
it. Our player.
Our player this week is a man by the name of Dusan Pashek. He was born in the Czech Republic. He played. How many games do you think he played in the NHL?
2.
213.
Damn.
It's in the middle of that. It's definitely not 3 digits.
Yeah, don't say.
Yeah. He spent most of his career in the Russian leagues, but in 1982, 81st overall, he was drafted by the Minnesota North Stars, where he played the only 48 games of his career.
Okay.
He finished his NHL career with 4 goals, 10 assists, 30 penalty minutes. He had 2 games played in the playoffs in 1988-89, where he had a goal. He played out most of his career in the Czech League, and then he played in Italy and other places. He unfortunately passed away in 1998 at the age of 37 due to unfortunate suicide. But he did have a good career in the Czech Republic. He also won a gold medal in the 1985 World Ice Hockey Championships, where he also represented the Czech Republic in 3 Canada Cups.
Wow.
So big shout out to Dusan for being our obscure NHL Player of the Week.
Nice. Good job, bud.
Yeah, right? Round of applause.
Round of applause.
Yeah, full round of applause. Actual round. Let's do a circle. I don't know what the fuck I was doing. That's not a circle.
Just back and forth.
Just
like a dead fucking
fish.
fish.
You seen that guy that can do that like super fast?
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit's crazy.
Fucking insane. Anyway.
Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us today. It's good to have Danger back with us. obviously we are so thankful for Maul stepping in and helping out with us.
I was gonna say that too. Like,
and
I'm excited to like have Maul and I both be on a few episodes this season. Maul is one of my favorite people in the world. But I'm definitely thankful that he was able to step in last year so that I could attend to the family matters that I needed to and work on my own mental health and all of the things that came.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
As we said, that beautiful logo that Danger put together for Grandma will be with us all season. And yes, make sure you go back and check out some episodes that she was on, because that woman had some takes and we're all like, okay, but let her cook.
Yeah, right.
And like a lifelong hockey fan. I mean, obviously, like I had the pleasure of knowing her the 38 years that I've been on this planet. But many years prior to that, I mean, I think she grew up, like, she didn't grow up watching hockey. She grew up in Canada. But I want to say my great-grandma got her into hockey, potentially.
That's
I
epic.
don't really remember where her love for the sport came from fully. But yeah, she knew everything there was to know. I mean, I remember back when the players' wives would sit, not in the suites. She'd be like, oh, that's so-and-so's wife, or that's so-and-so's girlfriend, and they just got together, or like, that's so-and-so, and she's pregnant. Like, how would you fucking know all of this? Because this is before social media. Like, I mean, I'm talking like North Stars and that kind of thing. But yeah, and just a great hockey mind, and I will obviously miss her for more than her love of hockey, but she's a great person.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. Well, while you guys are over there on the YouTube channel, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Let you know anytime we upload anything new. If you're listening to us on Spotify, make sure you guys leave a review. We'd love to hear what you guys think of what we're doing.
And be on the lookout for our TikTok exclusive content coming exclusively to TikTok.
Yeah. We should have daily posts throughout the week. So keep an eye out for that. Anything you guys want to add before we say goodbye?
I don't think so. Peace, love, Puss Suitor.
Yeah.
Peace, love, Puss Suitor. And in the most famous Saturday Night Live skit, let's do that hockey. Thank you guys so much. We will see you motherfuckers next week in the Face Off Circle.